Hello again, whiskey friends. I'm Darrell, the whiskey saint. We are back with another review, guys. This one's another fun one. We're gonna actually shed some light on a brand that I found out about maybe about a year and a half ago, but only up until recently I actually tried some of their stuff and actually had the pleasure of doing a barrel pick with my local store for this brand. What we're going to be talking about, guys, is Copper and Cask. I know it's not new to most, but I just want to highlight that label. It's a new label that they're doing this year with some special barrels, in my opinion. Hang with me, guys. We're going to dive into let you know what that label means. There's a couple different variations, but this is a newer offering that you're only going to see in 2023 and maybe, the next years to come. But this will be the first time that they've done this. So stick with me, guys. We're going to kick this show off and dive right into that bottle. Cheers. Welcome back, guys. We're going to dive right into this. But just to touch base on this Copper and Cask, I'll show you. This is a barrel pick, which a lot of people got to try. It's an 8-year MGP barrel. The special thing about the barrel pick that we did is Copper and Cask obviously got the bottles from or the barrels from MGP, but what they did is they didn't age them in Indiana. These were aged in Florida. And like if you look at the color on these, they are ridiculously dark, for some 8-year MGP or 8-year just whiskey in general. Right. This one right here is the limited, like I said, the black label that they're doing with the gold etching. It's called Legacy Project, specifically for this version here. What this one states, a legacy project celebrates special cask finishing bottlings that come from storied origins. This bourbon was finished in a barrel that was previously held wheated bourbon, hand-selected as a Yankee Spirit store pick. And that wheated bourbon that this bottle was finished in was a Weller Foolproof from the local store that I helped do this pick with. So this thing is absolutely incredible. I know those who've tried it, they already know. Those of you who don't, next best thing is what we're going to be talking about today. So it's another black label. When you look at the two, they almost look identical, to be honest. But this is basically a batched version, a small batch version of the leftover Florida barrels that they had from MGP. So this one, as well as an 8-year MGP, 61.4 ABV, so 122.8 proof. And if we read the back of this one, our inaugural small batch release, so I'm guessing they're going to be doing this every year now, is a handpicked selection of bourbon barrels, all distilled and barreled in Indiana in May 2015, aged in Florida, and married at 8 years old. As with all our whiskeys, this is bottled at barrel proof. So if you look, that one did say Indiana, May of 2015, and you look at the back of the pick we did, which my lighting's not really going to pick it up well, but this one's May of 2015 as well. So same barrels, just, like I said, a batch version of the remainder of those. So we are going to pour this up. And you can see I did get into it a little bit already. I wanted to get a numerical value on the review so I can pull it up, once we kind of break it down, let you guys know what to expect on this. Swirl it up a little bit. Cheers, guys. We're going to go in on the nose. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. It's the first thing I noticed when we were doing the initial selection with those 8-year Florida barrels. The profile is drastically different than the standard, like 6, 7, 8-year, even 10-year MGP that I've had. I've had Pingrees that are some of the best MGP that I've had. And the single barrel that I did is darn close at 8 years. It's probably better than the 8-year Pingrees that I've had. So it's something with that Florida heat, mingling with those barrels, just doing something incredible to it. And like I said, you could see the color. Like, this stuff is dark. And I could probably pull up for reference. Actually, let's do it like this so you can really see. I don't know if my camera's gonna pick it up well. I don't got my light back there. Let me see if I can do this for you guys. Let's see. Yeah, it's kind of picking it up, but this is well darker, and this is actually 10-year MGP. But the color's everything. The nose on here is just very, very oak forward. It comes across, I wouldn't say too much oak, but it doesn't come across as an 8-year-old product. I would have thought that this was, upwards to, 10 years, maybe even slightly older. Like you just get nice rich oak, nice cherry influence, which I got on a single barrel as well. It's not as prevalent on this batch version, but it's still there. But you don't get that typical, well, I don't get the typical graham cracker that I get on MGP, which I'm not knocking it for that. I do like that part on the nose of most MGP that I do taste, but it's something about these bottles that are just pretty nuts. But yeah, lovely cherry, nice oak, not really spicy. Like you're not really getting like that ethanol kick, even though it's 122 proof. On a nose, like you can really just get your nose in there and you're not going to get any burn whatsoever. Just comes across nicely balanced. A little bit of vanilla in there, some cinnamon, but not much spice. Let's go in for a taste, guys. Oh wow. So it's funny when you're revisiting something, you always kind of pick up something new. And this right here was just spicy cherry cola with like the big league bubblegum, like that grape bubblegum. Oh man, it just literally reminds me of my younger days playing, baseball, little league baseball, and you get that little bag of just that dry big league chew, throw it in there, man, chewed it up, and it's like the powdered part of it, like the outside covering, almost like if you had like Wrigley's and you kind of lick the foil, like that powdery taste, not so much the actual gum. But that was interesting. But super cherry forward, grape, slight, like that powder is making it seem like it's slightly drying, but it's really not. But it has that powder note. Yeah, that's all over the front in the mid. Literally spicy cherry cola. You can even throw, like, if you mixed grape Fanta along with some cherry cola and bubblegum with some nice spice. Wow, that's actually really different than I remember, which is funny. You go into these reviews with, some notions because you obviously tasted it, but going right back into it, it's definitely changed. Like there's a decent amount of, air in here now, and that's probably what's doing it, which is pretty nuts. Like, I don't know if I'm not going to say it's better. I know it's not worse, but I'm curious. Like, I may want to try to maybe review it again, numerical wise, to see if I actually score it any differently. But it's definitely hitting me in a better way with that grapiness, just that fruit forward, a little bit of citrus too. But it's almost like a bit of citrus, like an orange peel, kind of like if you bit into that slightly. One more sip, guys. Yeah, this is really really good. 8-year MGP. When I hear 8-year MGP, I always got high hopes. Like their distillate's just ridiculously good most of the time. Once you get to higher aged MGP, then it's really really crazy sometimes. But this middle of the road 8-year, but that Florida heat When I tell you it changed the profile, like if you take this bottle against any 8-year-old MGP, that's like the typical profile, you're going to be like, wait, what the heck? Like you're not even going to know you're drinking MGP. I would have bet with this bottle. It's that different, but in a very, very good way. It's delicious. Price on this, guys, is $74.99 retail, and a bottle like this should be sitting on most shelves. It's going to be a national release for anybody or any store that does carry their brand, which I think they're pretty out there, in terms of just multiple locations. I know all over the East Coast has it. I've seen them as far as the Midwest as well. But pretty accessible for the most part. And it's a good bottle. 8-year MGP, $74. So a little under that 10-year or $10 per year marker for some quality whiskey, guys. I will say the single barrel is slightly better than this, but not by a margin, not by that much. And this was super, super limited. Obviously, a single barrel, so just one barrel. It yielded about 100 and I think 18 bottles when we bottled it. And these are long gone. Like I wish I had backups after backups after backups of that bottle. Everybody knows how good that thing is, man. But for those who missed out, that wanted the single barrel, I'm telling you, this is the next best thing. Very similar profile, similar notes, just not as, what's the word I'm thinking of? The single barrel just got a lot more depth. And not to take away from the small batch, because it definitely has some of that as well. But it's just, it lacks some of the richness that you get on a single barrel. But let that not sway you to the opposite side of this, guys. This bottle, I think, in my opinion, is definitely going to be worth a pickup. We're going to pull up the rankings real quick so we can just show you how this fared in terms of, stats. So if you look, we have flavor, depth, front palate, flavor, mouthfeel, all that good stuff. But if you go down the line, the lowest number we have here is an 8, guys. And an 8 for us is really good whiskey. There's obviously some things that do score in the 7s, but, for us, like our top 10 bottles have been 8s, 9s, and 10s, and this is there. You have what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 8s. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 5 8s and 5 9s, guys. Like this thing shines, front palate, mid palate. That's where you're getting hit with all that cherry, that grape, that spicy cola, and the finish, 122 proof. Like the finish is nice. I got that ranked at a 9 on flavor and length. Like it's a very long finish. Even after that last sip, guys, I still taste it. It just coats the mouth really, really nice. Overall balance, I do have it as an 8, being that I had the single barrel, and I don't know if I should really be comparing it to the single barrel, but I think that came across a little bit more balanced, and I think it should. It's a single barrel. You're not blending a bunch of barrels, so you can kind of lose that balance sometimes when you do that. But at an 8, yeah, it's still really good. Like I said, nothing under an 8, guys. Total score 85. If you look at flavor, we have it by percentage over here. 85 on flavor. Score is 84 for the experience. Value score at a 90. $75 for 8-year MGP. That is not the standard. I think the value's there. I didn't want to put it as a 10. I wish the price was what the single barrel was, ironically, which was $64.99, so $65. The small batch is actually a little more. So that's the only reason the value is at a 9 or a 90 versus a 10 for me, because I just wish that it was maybe even a little cheaper than what the single barrel was versus being more. But overall, guys, in my opinion, this is a heck of a bottle. If you do see it on your shelves, I think it's definitely worth the pickup. If somebody has it already, let me know in the comments what you think. I'm very, very curious as to, once these start dropping around, like, stores nationally, people actually trying them, because they kind of got a bad name in the beginning. Like some of this stuff was really young, like 4 or 5 year, and it just tasted young. Like 5 and 6 years, not incredibly young, for some whiskey. I had some stuff that's 2 years old. That's phenomenal. But these black and gold Copper and Cask labels, be on the lookout, guys, for these. These things are pretty nuts. We're going to take one more sip, guys, and we're just going to end this off. Yeah. Just darn good whiskey, guys. Really, really good whiskey. That's going to wrap it up, guys. Thank you for all tuning in. We're going to keep this going. Next week, we got something else coming up. I'm going to try to just keep it going. I know you missed me, or I missed out last week, guys, with dropping a review. So apologies on that. It's been a hectic, last couple weeks, but we're going to stick to the game plan, try to get some new content out there next week for you guys, and so on and so on. Thanks for tuning in. Cheers.
Jeff, just be friends with me. But you have these whiskey friends, and you say hello again. Oh, Jeffrey, you should just be friends with me. But you have these whiskey friends, and you say hello again. Oh, Jeffrey, you should just be friends with me. But you have these whiskey friends, and you say hello.